Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Borderless webinar. We're here today to talk to you all about how technology and AI can support you with the home office with regards to things like home office compliance and lots of use cases for AI as we talk about that today. So we're delighted to be bringing this webinar today in partnership with QCS. It's one of our long-established, long-running partners here at Borderless, and delighted to be working with them to support organizations very broadly with all aspects of employment, compliance, and immigration matters. So without further ado, my name is Matthew Bond. I'm the CEO and co-founder here at Borderless. Now, this is the first of a two-part webinar series we're doing with QCS. You're going to be hearing from me today, and next week you're going to be hearing from my colleague Will. In terms of who Borderless is and are, I'll explain a little bit more as we go through the presentation, but just to introduce Borderless very briefly, we're an organization of about 50 people, and we can support you with, we currently support about 600 UK businesses with all of their home office compliance, their visa processing, their COS requests, and really critically, all the matters we're going to be talking about on the webinar here today. So we have a technology platform, and we have a team of human expert immigration advisors who can support your business end to end with all of these matters. Now, of course, we support your business, but we also support the sponsored workers in your business as well. More than 15,000 of them at this point. So we're very proud to be supporting a great number of businesses and individuals with sponsorship matters. And that's exactly what drives us here at Borderless to build. That's what we're creating, essentially a world where borders are no longer barriers, where anyone can move anywhere seamlessly and safely. That's our vision. That's our mission here at Borderless. And the way we want to do that is to help you as a business with all of these immigration matters. And of course, those sponsored workers you employ as well. And the way we typically think about doing that is helping both you and your individuals simplify the complexity of immigration. Typically, when we talk to businesses, they find there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of complexity relating to immigration matters. The Home Office is constantly changing the rules. There's been a big increase in sponsor license revocations, which I'll share a little bit more about in the coming slides. So that's really what we're all about here at Borderless. If you're finding that immigration complicated, time-consuming, overwhelming, or stressful, then Borderless can certainly help you with these matters. So what are we actually going to be talking about in today's session? So we're going to be talking about compliance and how compliance is typically handled by organizations, where some of those manual compliance steps start to break. And we're going to bring you some frontline insights of what we typically see from a great number of organizations and how they've typically approached compliance from a status quo perspective. And then we want to share a little bit more about Borderless and what the actual platform is doing to essentially save you time, save you effort, save you cost with these immigration matters. And you really show some specific examples of how technology can actually make these checks more accurate, how we're actually using AI at Borderless to make sure that validation can run across thousands of payslips or hundreds of documents all in one go in a really efficient way. Then we're also going to share where the immigration experts within Borderless are help manage cases through the system as well. So we're sharing both the technology aspect, but also the human expertise aspect as well. Now, of course, if you have questions and comments throughout the chat, please do put them in the comments. There's a public chat, there's a private chat, and we also have a couple of polls for you today as well as you go through the webinar. So yeah, just a reminder of that. You can use that Q&A box at any time. Use the chat to say hello, where you're joining us from today. And if you do, if you'd like to get a copy of these slides, you'll find them on the Borderless website, along with a great many other webinars that we've done in recent quarters. And if you think that someone else could benefit from these slides as well, then do please feel free to share the recording with them as well. So what we typically find with sponsorship is that compliance is typically still a very manual process, right? So most sponsorship admin is running on spreadsheets. It's in multiple folders and drives, potentially even printed materials, or even a lot in people's heads. And so, this can work for a period of time, but it doesn't really work if that individual is on holiday, if the document is missed, if that check didn't happen, if you didn't go proactively into that spreadsheet. This means that an admin problem can essentially become quite a significant compliance problem, right? There's lots of ways that compliance, we've talked about on previous webinars, how compliance is this evolving consideration, and it's really easy to make mistakes here. So especially when the government are looking at lots and lots of data on the back end. They've got lots of ability to connect systems together. It really places the burden on the individual big businesses to make sure that they are running compliant in a scalable way. So I guess that's my question to the audience here today. How are you actually running and managing and maintaining your compliance at the moment? What's the approach that you have at the moment? So I'm just going to release a poll, and typically we find organizations using different ways of handling their sponsorship compliance. So a lot of people using spreadsheets, right? It's the thing that's most readily available. It's the thing that you can customize as much as you want. We do find that spreadsheets, after a period of time, as you add more sponsored workers to it, it doesn't really provide that level of proactivity with you. You're very reliant on the information going in, and it doesn't always it can't really flag information proactively to you, certainly as the rules change. We also find businesses that use HR systems to manage their compliance. Now, HR systems are great systems, that general source of truth for your workforce internally, but they're not really built for a visa and immigration specific matter. Maybe they'll track the visa expiry date, but they won't have knowledge of all of the specific immigration matters within the business. We also find businesses who use external support, external solicitors for compliance. That works for a period of time, but it doesn't normally scale as the number of sponsored workers grows up significantly. If you don't potentially have a tracking system in place, that's something that I would definitely recommend you do put something in place. And of course, if you're using Borderless for these matters, as I'll share more about, that's the fifth option there. So let us know how you're currently managing and maintaining your Home Office compliance today. Just leave that open for another 5 or 10 seconds. Great. Well, thanks everyone for sharing more on that poll there. It really helps us bring the most useful insights to these sessions. So I want to talk a bit more now about where a platform like Borderless can actually help save you the most time with these immigration and sponsorship matters. And this is all the way from the start of the sponsorship journey, potentially with a sponsor license application, and then right through the journey for visa processing, assigning COS, making COS requests, and also critically as well, managing and maintaining your Home Office compliance via Borderless. So what do we typically see at the moment? What's the status quo right now? Where is the time going within businesses for to maintain compliance? Number one, right to work checks. So these are often repeated manually. It's chased by email. You need to follow up with the individual directly to make sure that they are completing that right to work check. It's very easy to miss these right to work check dates. There's also a process, of course, to follow with how to conduct a compliant right to work check, using that digital system, getting that share code, making sure you're storing a record of the fact the right to work check existed. All of these are required matters, and they all take up individual time and energy to make sure that gets it right. Record keeping and reporting is obviously a huge topic. It's if the Home Office come in to audit a business, you'll spend anywhere from 4 to 8 hours of them going through all of these records. They will have lots of questions about right to work checks, recruitment processes, change of circumstance, role responsibilities. All of this information needs to be aggregated, recorded. We typically find businesses that are using spreadsheets, folders, updating this information on a very ad hoc and manual basis. If we think about the third category, that's visa document expiry dates. Those are you can imagine there's lots of documents to keep track of. There's lots of individual expiry dates. There's lots of sponsored workers. It really is important to have a system in place that can be really proactive with you, not reactive to you going and checking and realizing that a date has already been missed. And then finally is the whole process of information that goes into a visa application or into a COS assignment or into a COS request. So that means the information needs to be put back in there, cross-checked, double-checked, checked. And this is where information and technology can really help make sure that mistakes are not made. So we typically find that every stage in this process is pretty manual, it's pretty repetitive, it's done by one or more people within the business, and therefore there's a lot of opportunity to potentially make mistakes in these areas. And so this is already the contrast. If you're doing these things manually by hand, it's a task that someone has to complete. You need to chase that document, re-enter the details, double check things, making sure that you're remembering to complete the next one. Whereas if you can run this through a platform like Borderless, then it really is making everything far simpler for you. You just enter information once, you or that individual sponsored worker, and that's going to trigger a whole process of of either a visa application or a sponsor license application or a change of circumstance request. That means the information is in one place as the source of truth. You don't have to re-enter information in lots of different places. And the great thing about that is it's going to actually proactively remind you and notify you when things are changing. So, you become, instead of doing the work in that process, you are just making the decision around, okay, should we start this sponsorship offer? Should we submit this COS request? Should we, do we need to find a gap? Do we need to fix that gap in compliance that the system has helped identify? And this is going to show you, it's all very well me saying these things, but I actually wanted to show you in a little bit more detail about how this actually works. So I'm going to show a quick video now of a new product that we've just launched, which is really helping get a really detailed picture of compliance, and really critically, how do you fix those compliance gaps as well?
Halo is a brand new compliance product from Borderless. It gives you a single view of your compliance position across your entire business, including your compliance score, workers by status, any document compliance gaps, the status and remaining COS on your sponsor licenses, any changes that you need to report to the Home Office that have been flagged by Halo, and a single action that you can take per document to fill any compliance gaps. Take employment details, for example. You've got the ability to audit job descriptions across your entire workforce or even on an individual basis. We'll show you the information that we've extracted from that employee's COS and allow you to reuse that on the Borderless platform. If you need to fill any payslip gaps, you can use our smart document uploader, which will allow you to upload as many documents as you need. We'll extract information from those documents, match them against the individuals, and then we'll tell you if there are any compliance gaps that have been found in those documents. Thank you.
Great. Hope that gives everyone a really good sense of exactly what a certain aspect of Borderless is. So this is a new feature we've built into the platform. It's that layer on top of some of your core compliance, and really helps demonstrate how easy it is to find and surface areas, and really importantly to fix them, and really help move that compliance score up to make sure the business is well protected. And now I want to share a bit more about how that technology more specifically is making those checks more accurate. So, what is the benefit of uploading information into Borderless in the first place, right? So you can upload via the document upload feature, lots and lots of documents and lots of information. So updating passports, visa vignettes, right to work checks, all of that information can go into the system. It's going to record and store those expiry dates, and it's going to make sure that is flagged proactively. Hey, it's 90 days out, a right to work check may need to be completed, or a visa application may need to be resubmitted, or a COS might need to be assigned. It's making sure that all of that information is consistently in one place. And of course, where that information doesn't exist, it's going to be able to flag where that missing right to work check is, and surfacing those insights for you. And so making sure that we're actually checking, and a really critical part of this is the Home Office rules can change. The nature of immigration from a pay perspective, maybe the minimum rates have changed. That might mean that last month things were compliant, but this month they're not compliant. And so how do you make sure that as the system and the rules are changing, information is getting updated and the new rules are encoded? And that's of course all part of the Borderless platform. We're doing all that heavy lifting, and we're just surfacing that information for creating recommended actions to improve and maintain that compliance score there. And so if that's exactly how the Home Office is thinking about its compliance overall, it thinks about compliance on a spectrum of breaches. And so all of these things kind of trigger compliance breaches. So maybe that's a right to work check if that individual ran over their expiry date of the right to work check, or perhaps the right to work check didn't happen before the individual started work. These are some of the first questions the Home Office are going to ask in an audit. They can see all this information in their systems. And so it's really, really critical that businesses, of course, are proactive with their approach there. If they also spot records that are not matching, or inconsistent information, or perhaps a sponsored worker shows up in another sponsor management system and you haven't reported that change of circumstance, that's another way, of course, that the Home Office could get concerned about the compliance position internally. And so these are all mistakes that can potentially, if repeated, could lead to sponsor license suspension and revocation. And they often really, no one is looking to get the sponsor license suspended or revoked. It often starts with administrative errors, lack of a clear process internally as to how to run these processes efficiently. And this is really what we see in the sponsor license revocations climbing year over year. We saw 294 revocations in 2021, 517 in 2022, 700 plus in 23, 1,600 in 24, 3,100 last year. And at the current run rate of what we have the data from Q1, we're projecting about 6,200 by the end of the year. So a really big record, I think 1,545 revocations in the first quarter of 2026 alone, on track to double last year's record. And this really shows the extent of the Home Office's redeployment of focus on control, on enforcement, on making sure that the system is robust and businesses are following that system accordingly. And this also shows the heat map of where those sponsor license revocations are landing. And I don't know about you, but for me, this shows the extent of where revocations are happening, and they're not really constrained to any one particular area. They are across the UK, in different parts of the country, and we can obviously see clusters of revocations in certain areas. And we also see as well, typically care and hospitality companies are some of the largest share of the sponsored work, sponsored companies who are sponsoring in many regions as well. So that's typically where a lot of that enforcement activity is coming from. So I guess the question to everyone here is, if a Home Office auditor walked in today, what would that mean for the business, and really importantly, how would that make you feel, and how ready do you feel you are for that Home Office auditor? Because of course, a Home Office can call up, they can say, I'm outside, I'd like to come and audit your business. How ready do you feel for that? So, do you feel in a really strong position? Those records are current, they're accurate, you've got really, really good processes in place. Do you feel somewhat confident, mostly confident? They would be in an okay position, but there's some gaps, there's some things you're concerned about, maybe there's some history there, and you'd maybe potentially have some potential concerns there. Do you feel completely not ready at all? Are your records in really significant need of improvement? Do you need a better system in place to be able to manage and maintain your compliance? Or equally, you're not really sure, you've never experienced a Home Office audit before, you're not sure what they'd ask for, you're not really sure what your compliance obligations are. Let us know your thoughts on this. So typically seeing here lots and lots in that middle category there around some level of confidence, some level of uncertainty, some gaps for sure. That's the largest category here. Great to see a few people feeling in a strong spot, and equally some people feeling not ready at all. So thanks everyone for sharing that. Really helps us understand where the level of confidence is around Home Offices. So now I want to share a bit more about where humans still need to be involved in this process, and where we have borderless immigration experts internally managing the process as well. Because of course, with all of these things, it's really important to make sure that there are checks and balances on the system, of course. And so this is the approach we have here at Borderless. It's to use AI to enable, not to replace. So it's that AI assistant that is helping immigration experts, our customers directly in the product to read, move, check, validate, flag information to make sure that that information that a person might otherwise miss becomes surfaced and it's relevant and it's available to that individual. Of course, that AI doesn't get distracted or tired. It's too busy. It's never too busy to run that check. Now, of course, where AI is perhaps not so good is maybe it doesn't have the full context, right? Perhaps it doesn't understand your business needs, the specifics of a sponsored worker, as well as you do, and therefore, it doesn't feel the consequences of getting it wrong. So therefore, it's a combination of using AI to potentially flag information for that human expert to then review, synthesize, add the context of everything they know about a business and an individual to be able to make that really informed decision. So really working harmoniously together to make sure it delivers the best possible outcome. And so letting the machine scan documents, track expiry dates, flag information, cross-validate records, keep an audit trail is exactly where AI is really, really good. It's automating a lot of that legwork, but the human stays there for that judgment, that context, that consequence, making really critical decisions on borderline cases, anything about individual circumstances, making those really high stakes compliance decisions, of course, talking to the Home Office. All of that stuff is where human expertise is fantastic, and where we see the best combination of AI and human support emerging. So I guess internally, there's a few questions that it's worth asking when you're thinking about your compliance. Do you want to use a tool? Do you want to use a system to do this? First thing to think about is, who's seeing your data? Can we access information and roles by controlling access in different ways? Is there an audit trail for every single compliance check for a change in an outcome and decision? That's really important, right? That's exactly what the Home Office is going to want to see when they come into audit. Do you have a record of changes made to responsive workers? A journey within your organization? Have you logged, stored, tracked all of that information? And of course, on Borderless, we're doing all of that logging and checking for you. Is the system up to date from a compliance perspective when the rules change? Is the system you've built potentially internally able to work well when Home Office rules are changing? And they do change all the time. So we get the big headline changes, but there are equally changes, small changes every week, every month. Coming out of the Home Office as they update the rules and regulations around sponsorship. From a GDPR perspective, is worker data stored in secure fashion? Is it handled on a UK GR correctly? Are the only individuals who should accessing that information? Are you providing all of that capability around UK GDPR? And where is that immigration sitting in the organization? Are real immigration experts behind it when a case gets hard? Who's making those decisions around it as well? I want to share a bit more about Borderless has helped, how Borderless can help you with all of these compliance matters. So one of the things we're really proud of is the fact that we're able to, from one particular statistic is, a COS request application approval rate. Typically, we see in the industry average about 30%. We're able at Borderless to move that up to about 66, up by another 66% to a 96% overall rate. So that's the total number of COS approved in full that we achieve here at Borderless. So a really big differentiator between handling, for example, CS requests, submitting them manually versus the requests we handle. And the number of COS we've secured, I think, is really testament to the fact that a good COS process can achieve that. And more broadly on compliance, helping businesses move their compliance score up, right? So on average, when a business joins Borderless, when we do those audits, when we do those checks initially, businesses have that 55% average compliance score at the very beginning. By 90 days on average across the customer base, it's 95% after 3 months with Borderless. So really is something we're really proud of, helping businesses go from a current state of compliance to a far better average state of compliance across the board. And really working at scale to help your business, working with a great number of businesses and individuals to go through that. And I think the benefit of submitting the number of visas and COS requests that Borderless does is you get that shared insight, that shared knowledge of what Borderless is doing every single day from the front line, so we can guide you most accurately on what it takes to get a COS request through, what it takes to make sure a visa application is submitted without delay in the fastest possible way, so you can get the fastest decision around this as well. So some of the numbers we're really proud of here at Borderless. And this is a quote from one of our customers, Good Oaks Home Care. She said that having Borderless helps handle the compliance side, gave them complete peace of mind internally. The transparency of the platform and expert advice from their team made a huge difference. So we've been working with Cat now for a good number of years, really excited to be partnered with Good Oaks to help them with their compliance. So that's the information I had for you here today. A couple of additional resources which might be helpful. So if you go to the right-hand side QR code, that's a compliance checklist. So we've built a number of checklists at Borderless, and they're all available on the website. If you scan the right-hand side QR code, you're going to see a compliance checklist. So this is a full, really easy to understand compliance checklist, and it's going to show you exactly what it takes to be compliant. So these are some of the rules and regulations around reporting timelines or pay discrepancies, things like that, available on the right-hand side. If you'd like to speak directly to Borderless, then really encourage you to book a demo while we take any questions in the chat. So that's the middle QR code. You can actually just scan the code and you'll be able to book time with Borderless this afternoon, tomorrow, later in the week, next week, whenever suits you best, to understand a bit more about the platform. I've only showed you a really small piece of it here today. So that's that, the middle QR code. Great. I'm going to pick up some questions now. Let's see what we've got here. So yes, we will be able to share the recordings of everything after the session. It will also be on the website too. So not seeing any questions there. I'll hang on for another 30, 60 seconds if people have specific questions, anything related to compliance. Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Hope it's been a useful session today. Shared a little bit more about AI, human product, and how Borderless can help with compliance. So if we can help you with any of these matters, please do jump on the line with us. We'd be delighted to help. Great. Well, thanks everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and we will see you very soon on the next Borderless webinar. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.